All right. Well, hello. I'm going to read part 3 today of Fortunately the Milk. Find my page here. Already like halfway through this book. It's a short book. Okay. So they were in the balloon, or the floaty ball peep-up carrier, and they arrived at a dark place with some mystery people. And the man had a very bald head and sharp teeth. So let's find out who these people are. Close that. It's not shining. There we go. Okay. So here is some kind of a town where they've landed. Right. "We are vampires," they said. "What is this? Who are you? Answer us, or we will vivisect you." Yikes. Vampires. "I am Professor Stagg," boomed the Stegosaurus. "This is my assistant. We are on an important mission. I am trying to get back to the present. My assistant is trying to get home to the future for breakfast." At the word breakfast, all the vampires looked very excited. "We have not had our breakfast," they told us. "We normally would have wiggly worms with orange juice on them. Orange juice makes worms even wigglier, like wandering spaghetti. But if we cannot eat worms, we will eat assistant or even roast professor." There's a vampires. One of the vampires took out a fork and looked me up and down in a hungry sort of way. The baldest, most bulging-eyed, rattiest of the vampires said, "What is this box?" "It is my finest invention," began Professor Stagg proudly, but I interrupted. "It is to keep sandwiches in," I said. "Sandwiches?" said the vampire. "Sandwiches," I said, with as much certainty as I could muster. "We thought it was a time machine," said the head vampire, with a sly, sharp smile, "and we could use it to invade the world." "Definitely sandwiches," I told him. "What happens if I press this button, then?" asked a lady vampire. She had long black hair that covered most of her face and peered out at the world with one suspicious eye. She pressed the button. We went forward 6 hours in time. "See," said the professor happily. "All this place needs to brighten it up is a little bit of sunshine." The head vampire said, "What?" and disappeared into a cloud of oily black smoke. So did all his friends. Remember, vampires can't be in the sunshine. "Yes," I said, "it is a nice place here, after all, in the daylight." The professor tinkered with the jewels and the string and the buttons. Then he said, "I think I've got it properly fine-tuned now. This next press should bring you back to your own time, place, and breakfast." But before the tip of his tail could touch the button, a voice said, "I'll explain later. Fate of the world at stake." A hand grabbed, and the milk, which I had carried safely for so long, was gone. I turned in time to catch a glimpse of a fine-looking gentleman with his back to me, holding my milk, and then the hole in space through which he had reached was closed. "My milk!" "He said he'd explain later," said the professor. I'd be inclined to believe him. Here's some wiggly worms. There we go. Who's that guy? The hole in space opened again. A voice shouted, "Catch!" and the milk came rocketing through. Fortunately, the milk struck me in the stomach, and in clutching my hands to my belly, I caught the milk. "There," said the professor, "everything is back to normal." "He did say he'd explain later," I pointed out, "and that wasn't much of an explanation." "But it's not later yet," said Professor Stagg. "It's still now. It won't be later until later." He was arranging pebbles and stones and string on the top of the time machine box. "Final coordinates entered," he said, "and then it's off to your house for breakfast." "Does that mean there's a stegosaurus in a hot air balloon outside?" I asked my dad. There he is. See space-time? "There's not," he said, "for reasons that will become apparent." "I think that there should have been some nice wumpires," said my sister wistfully. "Nice, handsome, misunderstood wumpires." "There were not," said my father. the kids and Dad. And maybe a misunderstood umpire, I think that is. Would you like to press the button? Said Professor Stegg. I pressed the red button. There was an ear-popping noise and a flicker of years, and I was floating in a balloon basket above the intersection of Marshall Road and Fletcher Lane. I could see our house from above. I could see the bicycles in the back garden. I could see the rabbit hutch. We're here, I said, and I patted Professor Stegg on the back ridge plates. It was very nice having you as a traveling companion. Arr, said the professor, because there was a familiar sort of a thump, thump noise, and before I had a chance to press the red button, we were deposited, balloon and all, on the enormous metal deck of a flying saucer, with a number of very grumpy-looking green globby people staring at us with too many eyes. They did not look pleased. Uh-oh, here's his house. Ha-ha, said several globby people at the same time. You thought you had escaped us, and you were wrong. Now you must sign the planet over to us so that we can remodel it. We will take out all the trees for a start and put in plastic flamingos. Why? We like plastic flamingos. We think they are the highest and finest art form that Earth has achieved, and they are tidier than trees. Also, we are going to replace the clouds with scented candles. We like scented candles, too, explained a huge green globby person who looked like he was mostly made of snot. We also like decorative plates, said another. We will put a decorative plate up where the moon is now. A really big decorative plate showing landmarks, the world. So there's some interesting plans they've got for Earth. And then we will replace all of the landmarks of the world with decorative plates with pictures of landmarks on them too. So the Eiffel Tower will be replaced by a large plate with a picture of the Eiffel Tower on it. And Australia will be replaced by a really seriously big plate with Australia on it. Also, we will replace all of your mountains with throw cushions, said the smallest, globbiest thing of all, with triumph in its glutinous voice. There's their ideal Earth. It's a decorative plate, some throw pillows, some flamingos. Interesting. We have learned a lot from our previous meeting, said some globs that were sticking to a wall. If you look over there, you will see that the door to the space-time continuum you used to escape through last time is now securely locked. It was definitely locked. It had a huge padlock on it and a sign saying "Keep Out" on it in unfriendly red letters. There were also chains around it, a tape that said "Do not cross," and a handwritten notice that said, "For your convenience, please use another door." Escape was impossible. There's the door. Like, not getting out that one. Also, we have depowered your time machine. I looked at the professor. His armored back flaps were drooping, and his tail was, well, not actually between his legs, because stegosauruses aren't made that way, but if they were, it would have been. We have been tracking your movements through time and space, said a large, globby alien in front of a console with a screen on it. Now, see what happens when I press this Grundledorfer, said a particularly drippy alien. It was half sticking to the wall next to a large, black, shiny button. It's called a button, I said. Nonsense. We named it after our brood aunt, Nessie Grundledorfer, said the globby aliens. The particularly drippy alien pressed the black button on the metal wall with something that might have been a finger and might have just been a long strand of snot. There was a crackle. There was a fizz. Standing around us in attitudes of anger and irritation were several pirates. Some of the black-haired people from the jungle, a very unhappy-looking volcano god, a large bowl filled with piranhas, and some umpires. There they all are. Four of them. Volcano and the umpire. I'm not sure I understand what the piranhas are doing, said my sister. They were from a narrow escape earlier that I forgot to mention, said my father. Fortunately, the milk floated at a crucial moment, and it all ended for the best. I thought it might, I said. Look at all those piranhas. Uh-oh, I said. Prepare to be keel-hauled, you scurvy dogs, shouted the pirates. Let us now sacrifice them both to great Splod, shouted the men with the shiny black hair. They stole my eye twice, rumbled mighty Splod. Vivants those villains and warmants violently wound up, proclaimed a tall lady wumpire with long fingernails. The piranhas said nothing, but they thrashed about in their bowl ominously. Uh-oh. How are they going to get out of this one? They don't have their time machine anymore. Doomed, moaned Professor Stegg. We cannot escape. They have frozen us in time and devoured us. Even my mighty time machine can do no more than open a small window in time and space, smaller than either of us could get through. But can you do it? I asked. Open a little window in time to our last location? Of course, but what good would that do? Quickly, I said. Do it. Professor Stegg pushed the button on the box with the tip of his nose. There was a zoom and a plip, and a window opened in space and time large enough for an arm to get through. I reached into it. I'll explain later, I said. Fate of the world at stake. I grabbed the milk from me 15 minutes earlier through the tiny space-time portal. You must like milk a lot, said the globby aliens. But that craving for lactic liquids will not make us take pity on you or let you go and spare your badly designed planet. It should, I said. What am I holding in my left hand? The milk, they said. And what am I holding in my right hand? They paused. The one alien, so green and small and so globby and crusted that he might have been an enormous snot bubble blown by an elephant with a terrible head cold, said, the same milk from 15 minutes earlier. Now it's all becoming clear. What do you think? I think I know what he's going to do with that. I remember a detail from before. Exactly, I said. Now, think about this one very carefully. What would happen if I touched these two things together? The globby aliens went a very pale green. The pirates' shiny black hairbed and the piranhas looked at them puzzled, seeking some kind of explanation, as did the wumpires. If two things that are the same thing touch, proclaimed the volcano god, then the whole universe shall end. Thus saith the great and unutterable Splod. How does a volcano know so much about transtemporal metascience? Asked one of the pale green aliens. Being a geological formation gives you a lot of time to think, said Splod. Also, I subscribe to a number of learned journals. I coughed in what I hoped was an ominous sort of way. Well, I asked. What he said, admitted the green, globby aliens. The bit about the universe ending. So, I told them, unless you wish to spend the rest of your lives in a universe that no longer exists, you had better return things to the way they were, and then go away. The aliens looked at each other. They grinned at each other. One of them pressed the Grundledorfer.
A new rescue team is coming to come.
Hey, good to know, Jameson. We're going to stop there. We'll see what happens after they press that Grundledorfer on Wednesday. That'll be the last bit of our story. Okay, let me stop recording here.